Oh, that's dumb. Hey, what's going on, everybody? So this is Brad Spears, and I'm just a follower of Jesus who wants to keep sharing truth and hopefully encouraging you in your daily life. So we're going to start this new series called Your Daily Brad, where I'm just going to spend a few moments turning into God's Word and seeing what He might have for our lives and where He might lead us. We obviously are in a pretty unprecedented time right now in our world and our lives. It's nothing that really any of us have ever seen. I know some of the older folks in our church I've talked to the last little bit have said, this is similar to wartime, World War II stuff. Some of them that have vague memories of that lived through some of those things. But for most of us, this is a new, unprecedented waters. And so I guess what I've heard and what I've seen is this, really, that this coronavirus epidemic or pandemic is really creating two things to come to surface in our life. Two things that are honestly have kind of always been true, but are being revealed to most of us all at once in this world. And here's what it is. It's the idea that we are not in control, and the idea that we are going to die someday. Now, those things come in different times in our lives and individual situations. Some of you have experienced personal tragedy or heartache, and so you've realized that mortality is a real thing. You've realized that in your life, maybe you've lost a loved one, a mom or a dad, a spouse, maybe a grandma or a grandpa. Some of you, unfortunately, even a son or a daughter. And so you know that in that moment, mortality is real, but this coronavirus is gripping all of us as a nation with the reality that death is a very real possibility. And the truth of the matter is that our lives are frail and they're fragile. And being in ministry, that's something that I obviously am around more than many. But it's a truth that's hitting us all universally at the same time. The other truth there about not being in control is one that I think, honestly, we as Americans especially have really struggled with. Because we're bigger, we're stronger, we're faster, we're smarter, we're more able, we're more gifted. We'll figure it out. We've got the education, we've got the expertise, and if we don't, we'll have the money to buy what we do. And this coronavirus has in an instant, it has stopped all of that. It has removed every argument. It has thrown away every pretension, and it's reminded us how absolutely vulnerable and human we really are. And in that moment, there's a fear and there's an anxiety that creeps in. There is a worry that's hard to remove. I know even for me, who again, I'm good with Jesus. I have no doubt that I'm going to die. I have no doubt that I'm not in control. But it still can almost be moment by moment that we lose sight of what matters or we lose our focus on what's important. I want to draw our attention this morning just to two verses in Luke chapter 12. Jesus is talking. It's in the section called Do Not Worry. A really good section to turn to. Luke chapter 12. Starting in verse 22, he tells them not to worry about your life. He says, don't worry about your life, what you'll eat, about your body, what you'll wear. And he says, he goes on to say this, says, who of you by worrying can add a single hour to his life? He just asked that question. He says, listen, you can worry all you want. You can sit and fret and you can be fearful and anxious. Worry all you want. You're not adding 1 hour to your life. And then he says this, he has a follow-up question. He says, since you can't do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Why do you worry about the rest? Listen, I guess I just encourage you today. I know that here in the Thumb, maybe it's getting more real. The first case in Tuscola County of a fatality occurred yesterday. There's different people that I've talked to who are facing it, whether that's healthcare professionals or different people that are working, that are coming more into contact with this scary virus, the unknown, this monster from afar that's suddenly creeping into our neighborhoods. And I know the fear that you're feeling. I know the anxiety that you face, and I would point us to remember that our worry and our anxiety isn't going to fix anything. And so what I encourage you to do is simply this. Find good, healthy habits to invest in. And I know that they are hard right now. I know that it is hard to get motivated. I know that it's hard to move forward. I know that it's so easy to just sit and sulk or to scroll through Facebook, waiting for the next news, waiting for the next update, wondering when the toilet paper is going to be in, wondering when the milk will be restocked, wondering when the president's going to announce or when the governor's going to say or when the streets are going to reopen. I understand the mentality. I know that the news channels have been on, and I know that we're just stuck in a funk. But I think Jesus would say, listen, that worrying ain't going to get you nowhere. You're not getting anywhere. You're not gaining anything. So instead, Maybe for some of us, we need to turn off the news for a couple hours at a time. We need to set down our phones and slide them away from us so we're not scrolling. And we need to trust in Jesus, who, as he goes on in this section to say, he feeds the birds and he takes care of the flowers, and he's definitely going to watch over you and me. That doesn't mean we won't face difficult times. It doesn't mean that we're immune from the disease. What it means is this, is that God's going to use everything that happens in our life for the good of those who love him. Romans 8:28 is kind of a proof of that. And I just invite you to go there. Our worry is real and understandable, but it's not accomplishing anything. So let's turn our attention to God, and let's turn our attention to doing good. And let's see what we can make out of this mess that we've been given, and realizing that we are not in control, and that we are very mortal, but that God is very much the maker and the sustainer of all things. Just a simple thought from a simple man. That's your Daily Bread. Have a great day. Love y'all. Peace out. Deuces.